entirely between her scholars and her little domestic cares, that she had spared very little to my instruction, having from her own innocence from all ill no hint or thought of guarding me against any. I was now entering on my 15th year, when the worst of ills befell me in the loss of my fond, tender parents, who were both carried off by the smallpox within a few days of each other. My father dying first, and thereby hastening the death of my mother, so that I was now left an unhappy, friendless orphan, for my father's coming to settle there was accidental, he being originally a Kentish man. That cruel distemper which had proved so fatal to them had indeed seized me, but with such mild and favourable symptoms that I was presently out of danger, and what then I did not know the value of was entirely unmarked. I skip over here an account of the natural grief and affliction which I felt on this melancholy occasion. A little time, and the giddiness of that age, dissipated too soon my reflections on that irreparable loss. But nothing contributed more to reconcile me to it than the notions that were immediately put into my head of going to London, and looking out for a service, in which I was promised all assistance and advice from one Esther Davis, a young woman that had been down to see her friends, and who, after the stay of a few days, was returned to her place. As I had now nobody left alive in the village who had concern enough about what should become of me to start any objections to this scheme, and the woman who took care of me after my parents' death rather encouraged me to pursue it, I soon came to a resolution of making this launch into the wide world by repairing to London in order to seek my fortune, a phrase which, by the by, has ruined more adventurers of both sexes from the country than ever it made or advanced. Nor did Esther Davis a little comfort and inspirit me to venture with her by piquing my childish curiosity with the fine sights that were to be seen in London. The tombs, the lions, the king, the royal family, the fine plays and operas, and, in short, all the diversions which fell within her sphere of life to come at, the detail of all which perfectly turned the little head of me. Nor can I remember, without laughing, the innocent admiration, not without a spice of envy, with which we poor girls, whose church-going clothes did not rise above dowless shifts and stuff gowns, beheld Esther's scoured satin gown, caps bordered with an inch of lace, tawdry ribbons, and shoes belaced with silver, all of which we imagined grew in London, and entered for a great deal into my determination of trying to come in for my share of them. The idea, however, of having the company of a townswoman with her was the trivial and all the motive that engaged Esther to take charge of me during my journey to town, where she told me, after her manner and style, is how several maids out of the country had made themselves and all their kin forever, that by preserving their virtue, some had taken so with their masters that they had married them, and kept them coaches, and lived vastly grand and happy, and some, mayhap, came to be duchesses. Luck was all, and why not I as well as another? With other almanacs to this purpose, which set me a tiptoe to begin this promising journey, and to leave a place which, though my native one, contained no relations that I had reason to regret, and was grown insupportable to me from the change of the tenderest usage into a cold air of charity, with which I was entertained even at the only friend's house that I had the least expectation of care and protection from. She was, however, so just to me as to manage the turning into money the little matters that remained to me after the debts and burial charges were allowed for, and, at my departure, put my whole fortune into my hands, which consisted of a very slender wardrobe packed up in a very portable box, and 8 guineas, with 17 shillings in silver, stowed in a spring pouch, which was a greater treasure than ever I had yet seen together, and which I could not conceive there was a possibility of running out. And indeed I was so entirely taken up with the joy of seeing myself mistress of such an immense sum, that I gave very little attention to a world of good advice which was given me with it. Places, then, being taken for Esther and me in the Chester waggon,